Good evening, viewers. Welcome back to another episode of Red-Rupee Cast, featuring Dawn of War 2 Retribution. Red-Rupee here today with you, as always, casting some games for you. Before we get started, I'd like to throw one more shout out to the 5 winners of my DLC holiday giveaway contests. I'll throw those up there for you real quick and show you what they got. So keep an eye open for them on the ladder. They'll be rolling around, sporting their nice, fancy new bits and bobs and armor packs and whatever else you have along those lines. And while I'm on this subject, Steam currently has a holiday sale as well, involving everything about Dawn of War 2, the game itself, and of course all the DLC packs. So if you are interested in any of those, you can pick up some pretty nice armor packs for around $3.50 or something along those lines. And if you have any friends that don't have the game and are interested in checking it out, I think the game itself is around $10 right now, so keep an eye open for that. That stays up until January 1st or 2nd, I believe. So just keeping you guys updated with the happenings on Steam right now. And let's go ahead and get to the game. We are hanging out on Outer Reaches right now. You can see we're kind of looking over the edge, the shattered cliffside on the side of this map right now. Let's take a look at our players. On the blue side, we have the Tyranid Hive Tyrant. Nice green and yellow kind of Green Lantern looking paint scheme right there. And this is Qichoka, and we've had him on several episodes back. I believe he was playing the Commando Knob, played a pretty nice Commando Knob, so we'll see if his Tyranids are also up to the task. And on the red team, but in blue armor, so that'll surely confuse me a little bit, we have EXL.Shtyrmovik. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm just going to call him EXL for now. That's just me being a typical American that is unsure how to pronounce a foreign name. So sorry about that. And taking a look around the map, for those of you that don't know it, you have very simply your natural VP rec and power on this side. That goes the same for either side on the map. Then you have this nice central area, which is covered in all kinds of green cover and weird walls and obstructing angles, things like that, which makes melee and stuff like that pretty useful right here in the center, as it can be tough to flank. Then in the middle, we've got this contested power node surrounded by all kinds of junk around here as well. And moving on up to the top, all the way up, we've got the contested victory point. So, of course, this is very far away from the bases you can see on either side, so melee tends to be pretty good on this map because you can kind of get in behind melee, grenades, anything like that that's good for killing on retreat. Always good to try to take advantage of that on this map. Let's go ahead and get it started so I can stop rambling and we can get this game on the road. So, looking pretty standard. Pretty easy opening right now. Got some Termagants coming in for Qichoka, and EXL has his tax moving on in. Hive Tyrant looks like he's going on the offensive and moving across into the middle of the map a little bit. And the Hormagaunts ignoring that VP, heading straight up for the power. Meanwhile, the Force Commander on the other side of the map is grabbing that VP, and looks like the tax are going to go ahead and try to grab this middle contested power here right now. So it looks like EXL is going for a power-heavy start, and Qichoka is doing the same thing, just going for the higher power here in the middle instead of that lower one. And we can see Qichoka actually got himself a second squad of Hormagaunts and now building some Spore Mines as well. I don't often see Spore Mines used against Space Marine as much, but we'll see how that works out in the end. The Hormagaunts now scaring these Tactical Marines right off of the power. Normally it wouldn't have been much of an issue, as Tyranids pretty much consistently tend to go with the double Termagant build. Those attacks would have been able to scare off Termagants, but that second squad of Hormagaunts managed to push them off that central power. So right now we're going to have a little battle between the Hive Tyrant and the Force Commander, and actually it looks like the Hive Tyrant could kind of care less right now. He's capturing that requisition point, and there's not much the Force Commander can do about it right now. So looking up here, the scouts were capturing the middle victory point, but decided to fall back upon seeing those Hormagaunts move into position and attack. Looks like they're probably going to have to get out of there right now, unless they're going to try to move down and get the support of the Tactical Marines or the Force Commander. So again, it looks like the Tax tried to capture this central power, but did not. The Hormoguns are now upgraded and have the Spore Mines kind of flanking around behind these scouts right now. The Force Commander's going to have to be kind of careful. He did some good damage to that Hive Tyrant, but ultimately he probably could have sent that Force Commander off to do something else a little more useful, I feel. Now, unfortunately, we have 2 squads of Hormiguns going up to EXL's power right now. Looks like Don Qichoka has not built any generators of his own. EXL has 1, but it looks like it's probably going to go down unless he can get up there and do something about it. His forces are condensed right here below his power, so he should be able to go up and maybe stop this generator bash. He drops 2 more generators just before that node goes down, so hopefully going to be able to keep his power income at a reasonable level. So the Force Commander not hitting that battle cry quite yet. I'm not sure why. I'm sure he could have done a lot more damage to those Hormoguns right now, perhaps waiting for a later time to do that. The Hormoguns managed to grab a couple scouts, but losing several models of their own so far, and didn't manage to get the decap on that power like they were hoping. So the Force Commander does force off all of Don Qichoka's units. Don Qichoka, of course, has the 2 central power nodes, so not actually doing too bad, about 20 power behind on the income right now. And now building a 3rd squad of Hormiguns and dropping all 3 of his generators at once right there. So that'll even out the power income and probably put Don Qichoka a little bit ahead. It's never good to discount these neutral nodes, because even though they don't have generators or power nodes on top of them right now, they do add up after a while. At 10 power a minute, you know, game lasts 20 minutes, that's a difference of 200 power if you don't keep those in mind. A lot of people tend to feel they both have the 3 generators and then ask why the other person has so much power. And that's probably because they were holding on to those neutral power nodes. Makes a big difference in the long run. Just something to keep in mind, I thought. So anyways, Hormiguns moving in on this Force Commander. 2 squads of Hormiguns. Just ignoring that Force Commander, heading straight in for that power again. It looks like Qichoka just doesn't want EXL to move into Tier 2 at all right now. And EXL is purchasing himself a squad of Assault Marines, which against this much melee I'm not sure is the best idea. I feel like a Devastator is probably a better choice right now. The Force Commander's holding his own as of right yet. Oh no, but a spawning pit goes up behind it, a brood nest, I'm sorry. And the Force Commander does go down to all those Hormiguns. So EXL's power is in a bit of a predicament right now. Those Hormiguns are going to be able to just keep reinforcing while they bash away at that power. Excellent play by Don Qichoka with the offensive use of that brood nest. And the Hive Tyrant, meanwhile, is just harassing the heck out of these tactical Marines, and the Assaults jump in, but they do have 2 squads of melee in addition to that Hive Tyrant himself to deal with. And with the ability to keep reinforcing off of that brood nest, it might cause Don quite a bit of wreck, but he will be able to deal with those Assault Marines, which will be very expensive to reinforce. EXL needs to get them out of there as soon as he can. There's just way too much melee on them right now. Meanwhile, you can see Don is just capturing the rest of the map with those Termagants right now. Oh my goodness, and the Assaults jump out with 120 HP, but still managing somehow to hold on to all 3 members. That was very fortunate for EXL. The Techs also get out without losing a member, so pretty good. Of course, the Force Commander is down right now, which puts EXL on a bit of a disadvantage. Don is also capturing his power, so that's going to be a pretty brutal loss right there for EXL. He's going to probably be on the back foot for the rest of this game after losing both his hero and what looks like an entire power farm to Don Qichoka, who's now pushing into Tier 2, and with the purchase of those Assault Space Marines, EXL has plenty of power right now, but is pretty sorely starved on wreck. Meanwhile, the Assault Marines go in and do manage to beat up these Hormiguns pretty badly, but they're still quite wounded as they didn't have much time to heal back at base. That's a thing to keep in mind against Space Marines. I know a lot of people hate how hard it can be to take out Space Marine models, but the disadvantage to that is what I've heard some people refer to as HP decay, which means these tactical marines and assault marines will rarely be at full health when entering an engagement because they just have to sit around and base so long to heal up. And once again, wow, 40 HP and not losing a single member. That's been two very fortunate escapes for EXL for those two squads, managing to save quite a bit of wreck there. But again, as I was just saying, these tanks are going to have to sit around for quite a while before they're able to get back on the field at a reasonable strength. This force commander is hacking away at Hormagaunts once again, but this time he realizes that he's not going to be able to take them on by himself and does fall back into the base. So right now, Don Qichoka just owns every point on the map except for this lone center victory point. Has an absurd power income right now at 99 a minute. He could already go into tier 3 in probably about 30 seconds here without even batting an eye at that. And it's always fun. I like seeing this melee-centric Tyranid build. I'm so used to just seeing the standard double Termagant into Raveners, into Venom Brutes, so hopefully we'll see this go in a different direction. EXL's finally moving into tier 2 and gonna try his damnedest to get this power node back. That of course is his own power that he built, which is now fueling Don Qichoka's economy. So doing whatever he can. He's not even wanting to engage the Nid force right now. You can see he's kind of just trying to cap wherever they are not. These assault marines unfortunately just haven't been terribly useful against all this melee. Assault marines are, I feel, more of a kind of tanky disruption unit than a dedicated melee squad. So I feel like against a large amount of melee themselves, they tend to kind of just get swarmed and go down and cost you lots of wreck. So EXL's been killing all kinds of Hormagaunts, but since Don Qichoka has so much of the map, he's just really not feeling the wreck bleed at all. Don's now bringing on a Tyrant Guard, which will be yet another large and extremely difficult to take down heavy melee menace. So that's roaming onto the field right now. Looks like EXL finally managed to destroy that spawning pit and push back out onto the field, and hopefully he'll be able to take back this power here. Don Qichoka, however, sitting at almost 300 power already, and we're just not even 10 minutes into the game. So these scouts trying to buy some time for those tanks to take out that node and then retreating. That was a pretty good tactic. Scouts are pretty much horrible in melee, but that did manage to tie up those Termagants and prevent any tactical models from going down while he captured that. Looks like we have a call-in that's probably going to be Warriors. Oh, but in fact it is Rippers. I was wrong on that one. Scouts getting tied up in melee in the middle trying to capture some Mac back, but not going to be able to do that against all those Nids. Unfortunately, the Force Commander is just ignoring those swarmy little Rippers and grabbing that power while he can. Not sure if he's going to be able to hold on to it, honestly, though, because all of this melee is just swarming back onto the map against him. And they do get right on that node before he can cap it. So very unfortunate there. The Hormagaunts are just piling onto everything. Attacks have to fall back. I'm not sure where are those assaults right now. Heading over, ignoring the main melee force and just grabbing some victory points, trying to keep that evened out right now. Despite being at such a disadvantage in Tier 1, EXL did manage to keep the victory points not too much against him, and they're just now finally falling back here. He is about 50 or 60 points behind right now. And unfortunately, it looks like, again, that Force Commander went down against all those Hormagaunts. So, Plasma Devastators now onto the field, hopefully help keep that melee in control. And oh no, it just hit the ground. Oh, that was very unfortunate. I kind of just wanted to see that fall into that pile of Hormagaunts. Plasma Devastators are pretty much one of my favorite units. I just love the little bit of anticipation there as you hear the guns spool up, and you just want to see that big blue ball of energy just smash something. So EXL, meanwhile, has just ignored the forward Tyranid force and gone behind his base and tried to decap the power and return that tactic right against Don Qichoka. He does get the decap. I'm not sure he's going to be able to capture it, though, with these two squads of Hormagaunts moving in against the scouts. They're actually probably going to lose a model or two in the meantime. The Assault Marines are still in good health, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to deal with both of these squads right now. Although a Sergeant just teleported onto the field, so they have an additional member, a power sword, and a merciless strike ability, of course. But unfortunately, against both of those squads, and of course the Tyrant Guard and Hive Tyrant himself, they're not going to be able to deal with all that. They lose a member and fall back. Looks like it's just going to be that one member, though. And that bought EXL just enough time to finally secure his power node once again. And now with that Plasma Devastator on the field, hopefully that'll help keep squads off of that. But he's going to have to be very difficult as he doesn't have any sort of suppression. And even if he did, the Tyrant Guard and the Hive Tyrant are both on the field. So that's going to be very difficult to keep that Plasma Dev set up and causing damage on the field. We can also see, as we just saw, EXL upgraded both of his scouts to shotgun scouts, which will help a lot against keeping these melee squads under control and slowing them down. The Hive Tyrant so far has gained himself a level, but has no war gear at the moment. Looking pretty low at the time. And I just heard an assault jump. They jumped in down here on the Hormagaunts. Meanwhile, scouts are fighting all over the place, trying to kite the Hive Tyrant, but he's kind of been traveling together with this Tyrant Guard, and that's really kind of a difficult duo to bring down. They're pretty much both just large, tanky, slow melee tanks, I guess, to be a bit redundant. The Assault Marines, again, just kind of avoiding combat where they have to, and doing whatever they can to keep disrupting and capturing. Some Swarmers got called in over here again, some Rippers rather, and the Tax managed to decap the power and fight them off with that Sergeant. They were able to force the Rippers right back off the field. EXL doing a pretty good job, though. I just thought he'd kind of be out of the game after those initial engagements and losing his power. And now, of course, we have EXL owning both power farms himself and popping that node right off the bat. Going to be preventing Don Qichoka from getting that power back right away, so hopefully kind of balancing out the power income. Of course, Don Qichoka already has way more power than he's ever going to know what to do with. So, but EXL's really just hoping to boost his own income and try to get himself some heavy tier 3 units at this point. Oh, and a Hormagaunt squad goes down. Oh my goodness, was that 2 Hormagaunt squads that went down? The Termagants also died somewhere. I'm not sure where that happened, but the Scouts killed a squad down here, and the Assault Marines killed a squad up here. So 2 squads go down for Don Qichoka, but he's already tier 3, and oh, and there he goes, bringing a Carnifex onto the field very quickly. I don't think Shtyrmovik, or EXL rather, I'm just not going to try to say that name because I know I'm saying it wrong, is finally moving into tier 3, but he's really not going to have an answer for that Carnifex right now. He just doesn't have the power. He's got very reasonable income since he has both of these, but right now Don Qichoka is recapturing his own power. The Hive Tyrant has gotten upgraded with the Crush Claw. Oh no, and he walked away before he decapped it. It looks like he went to move just a bit too quickly and didn't quite get that decap on. Some Hormagaunts coming back very injured right now. Oh, it looks like that Plasma Dev was firing on them over here, probably while they were trying to capture that victory point. Looks like they got a dead-on shot and hurt those Hormagaunts pretty badly. Oh, and the Scouts finished them off right there. That was the last member as I just scrolled down on the map there. They did witness that Carnifex coming onto the field. He's going straight into a Thornback mode, and Don Qichoka lost all of his Gaunt and Gant squads. And but I mean, really, with a Hive Tyrant, a Tyrant Guard, and a Thornback Carnifex on the field, that's 3 very difficult units to bring down right now. EXL just doesn't really have anything to deal with that. His Force Commander is unupgraded. His Tacticals with Flamers and his Assault Marines, one Melta Bomb is not going to be able to deal with both the Tyrant Guard and the Carnifex. Carnifex already spawned a little squad of Rippers right there. And with that Crush Claw, those Assault Marines are going to need to be very careful. The Hive Tyrant's level 3, and the Tyrant Guard is going to do pretty reasonable damage as well. And just been nothing but melee for Don Qichoka so far this game. He built the 1 Termagant squad, but that was about it. So the Plasma Devastator still hanging out, keeping an eye on this top victory point. It's unfortunately, once again, these power nodes, these generators, just been going back and forth. With Don Qichoka just having the single unit to be able to capture any points right now. It'll probably be pretty decent for. Oh no! That was a scout squad that just went down there to the Carnifex and the Tyrant Guard. But as I was saying, he only has the Hive Tyrant to capture a map right now, so EXL actually has a pretty reasonable advantage as far as map control. You can see pretty much the whole map is red, and the 3 points on this side are decapped. Of course, the bonded exoskeleton has been activated, and that gave the Hive Tyrant a bit of invulnerability, which gave him just enough time to capture that victory point. Unfortunately, that last Plasma Devastator shot fell a bit short. It's really just not quite up far enough to hit that victory point, but it looks like we have another call-in, and that is some warriors this time after several squads of Rippers being dropped. And of course, meanwhile, we've had the Force Commander upgrade to his Terminator armor, which makes him, of course, extremely tanky and some pretty nice damage output as well, but I just not sure that's what he should have spent his power on right now. I feel like probably a tank or something along those lines. A Predator would have been great to bring on the field at this point in the game, considering that all that's on the field is vehicles. But we'll have to see how this Force Commander works out for him right now. A Devastator Marine squad being brought onto the field now, probably for the sake of turning into a las cannon to deal with both of these Tyranid monstrous creatures up here. Once again, this is actually a pretty funny situation we're in right now. The powers are actually switched right now. EXL owns Qichoka's power and vice versa. But Don's sitting pretty desperate on map control right now. For quite a while, all he's had is the Hive Tyrant to capture points. Now he does have some Warrior Squad on the field, and he's buying some Hormagaunts as well. Unfortunately, he had such an advantage early in map that after dealing with that, oh my goodness, there goes a scout. After dealing with the loss of all his Termagants, he was able to stay in the game. He's down by about 150 victory points right now, but Don now has plenty more units to bring back onto the field, so that might be able to even things out once again. The las cannon is on the field and setting up. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite have line of sight on this Carnifex yet. The Tactical Marines have changed to a rocket launcher to help deal with these vehicles. Unfortunately, 2 squads of Rippers are going to make short work of that las Devastator, and the Thornback charges right into those Tactical Marines. So once again, EXL has just been popping this node over and over again to prevent Don Qichoka from capturing that back. And the Plasma Devastator was kind of sitting around unset up, unfortunately, so it's not going to be able to take any shots at that Carnifex. So the Terminator Force Commander moving on in against these Warriors, and the Assault Marines killing these Hormagaunts, but not quite being able to finish the job. They could have stayed around for 1 or 2 more slashes, I think, and probably finished that squad off, but he's playing it safe. He feels he's on the back foot, I'm sure, at this point, and doesn't want to lose any unnecessary models. So let's take a look. Up here we have the Force Commander, of course, meleeing those Warriors right off of the field. A special attack kind of prevents that last Warrior from taking any additional damage, and this Tyrant Guard is still just kind of hanging around, taking damage, killing scouts whenever they show up. And Don Qichoka is bringing a Lictor on the field, which will probably be very effective. I still just feel like that this Terminator Force Commander armor was not what he needed right now. All these scouts are very low right now. These Rippers probably aren't going to be able to get to him in time. He does get out of there. But both of those squads of Rippers hitting those setup teams and preventing them from doing anything. Of course, the Thornback kind of stomps right through and kills half of his own Rippers, but of course they're not particularly expensive, so it's not much of a big deal. They're just around to disrupt anything they can and keep the ranged squads from doing anything useful. So EXL's sitting on quite a bit of power and wreck, probably hanging out and waiting to bring some Terminators onto the field at this point is all I can figure. And the Lictor now jumping into battle right on top of those Assault Space Marines. But EXL is countering with his own call-in, bringing some Assault Terminators onto the field against the Tyranid army, leaving the Assault Marines to deal with that Lictor. Hopefully they don't find themselves too far out of position. They have a jump still, of course, so they can get out of there if they need to, as they do, and they fall back right now. So we can see the two vehicles kind of hanging out here protecting this top victory point. But for quite a while now, Don Qichoka's had a pretty difficult time of trying to secure any map ever since he lost all those Gaunt squads. These Assault Terminators, though, are causing quite a bit of damage. They may have bit off a bit more than they can chew as far as this battle goes. They'll certainly hurt the Hive Tyrant and this Lictor, but they're going to take a lot of damage in the meantime. Could be a bit of a mistake on EXL's part. I know people tend to get these Terminators and feel they can tank anything, and they can, but you really want to save them for when they have the support of your army. Oh, and excellent timing on the Bonded Exoskeleton. He activated that just as his Hive Tyrant was getting low and tricked EXL into staying there much longer than he needed to. So unfortunately those Assault Terminators are pretty much just going to have to head back to base and heal up if he doesn't want to lose any members as far as that goes. Oh, a Tyranniform happening up here. It looks like that Carnifex went down, unfortunately, to the combined forces while we were watching those Assault Marines of the Las Cannon, the Force Commander, and the Missile Tax, which are now up here capturing this victory point. EXL sitting at a nice VP advantage of about 200 right now, while Don Qichoka is doing his damnedest to get back onto the map and try to secure some map control once again. These tanks aren't going to be able to hold up to all of these various melee threats right now, although those Hormigons came back out with just a single member. I'm not sure if that was intentional. Don has plenty of wreck right now, but perhaps just forgot to set them back to auto-reinforce. That Hive Tyrant's going to need to be very careful, as with a Sergeant, those attacks will probably be able to kill him in melee being so low. Oh, and he does go down. Oh, what a bit of a blunder by Don Qichoka. He's kind of lost a couple big things here right now. And in addition to losing those all those Gaunts earlier, might not be able to recover from it this time, being so low on VPs. So these nice leveled up Assault Squad sitting at level 4 along with these Tactical Marines making short work of this Tyrant Guard. It's level 3, but I don't think it's going to be able to deal with that. It goes into tanking vehicle armor, but with the Power Fist and the missiles happening right now. Oh, it does go down. Warriors moving on the attacks, but they do retreat. And I don't think the Lictor is going to be able to stand up to all this at all right now either. Probably going to try to get 1 or 2 model kills additionally on this Assault Squad, but they just jump out of there and head on back while they have the chance. So the Assault Marines got a little bit of a heal up here, and the 2 setup squads now moving out as well. The Scouts and the Force Commander harassing away at this Warrior Brute up here. Don Qichoka down once again to a very small force. Has lost quite a bit throughout the game. Yet another Ripper Swarm drops in. And I just don't think Don's going to be able to get back out onto the field against all this. He's got a mere 35 victory points left against the 300 of the EXL. Oh, and that Lictor getting nailed on retreat by that Plasma Devastator. He will get out of there without dying. But right now the Rippers are just harassing away. The Force Commander could probably just capture this point under the threat of those Rippers. Those Rippers are going to do next to no damage to him right now. I think EXL should just try to secure the map while he has the chance. Don Qichoka bringing some Gene Stealers onto the field, while EXL is pushing into his base with his Assault Terminators. I'm not sure if that's really a good idea. I guess he was trying to finish off that Lictor while he had the chance, but these Assaults are now in quite a bit of danger. Oh, 1 Assault Terminator does go down. 2 left. You can see the Adrenal Gland Warrior Brutes moving in on that, as well as the Lictor. But luckily, the Assault Marines are on the case. The Plasma Devastators kind of been hitting terrain all game, unfortunately, and not doing too much. But the Assault Jump did manage to knock everything back and save those last 2 Terminators from any additional loss. So another Warrior Brood comes in again, and you can see the Force Commander is over here capturing this wreck point, which I really wish he would have just captured that VP and kind of sealed the deal out there. If he had captured that VP a while ago, Don Qichoka could probably be down to about 10 VPs at this point in the game. And now moving in on the power, and I feel like, again, at this late in the game, power really isn't too much of a big deal. You can see Don's still sitting at about 275 power. He's really just wreck-starved at this point more than power. So we can see the Lictor harassing some scouts, and the Assault Marines moving up to deal with the Warrior Brood, which is capturing that center victory point. The Force Commander just tanking away at this Hive Tyrant. Probably going to be able to capture that power node and then retreat without much issue. Although he is getting very low, maybe 1 or 2 more hits. Oh wow, I think 1 more and that Hive Tyrant would have had him. Although he does have to retreat through Gene Stealers and Adrenal Gland Warrior Broods, and he does go down. Oh my goodness. A little bit too greedy there, but that's pretty much the only time you can take out that Terminator Force Commander, is when he overextends himself a bit too much. These assaults are dealing with the Warriors pretty well, but and I think they will be able to take them down. Oh, but they do lose their Sergeant right there. Very unfortunate. The Rippers aren't going to pose much of a threat, but he's going to have to be very careful as the Gene Stealers and the Adrenal Gland Warrior Broods are coming up behind them. Although it looks like they chose to fall back instead, which is curious. Now moving in on the Scouts and Plasma Devastator of EXL. So EXL again holding on to plenty of resource right now. Both players have more power than they know what to do with. EXL's probably waiting to buy his Force Commander back right now, I'm sure. And wow, once again the Assault Marines looks like, sorry, the Assault Terminators looks like they're in here trying to cause some damage to the Nid base. I really don't know why he's using them in this fashion. They should kind of be supporting the Space Marine army. He could have locked this game out a while ago, but again he loses another Terminator. And that Lictor's just kind of tearing them up at this point. I don't know, these might be in a bit of trouble if that Lictor gets a few more hits in here. Another combat leap. I just want to see if these manage to get out of here in time. Plasma Dev's moving in to help. 1 more goes down. Looks like he's going to be able to get out of there. Oh no, but a Flesh Hook finishes off the squad. Oh, that's a big loss for EXL. Oh no, and while he's down there microing that, the Assault Marines, also died to all of the melee up top. Oh my goodness, I'm not sure if EXL was watching the bottom battle like I was right there, but it certainly looks like his Assault Marines were caught out of position. And the last one jumped out but died on retreat to 1 final melee hit from these Gene Stealers. And wow, that was 2 big squads. Or was that 3 big squads? Wow, it looks like... no, it was just the 2. I thought he lost the tax, but I always forget they move up into the hero slot. But 2 big squads, the level 4 fully upgraded Assault Marines and the Assault Deep Strike Terminators just went down for EXL. So a couple bad decisions right there. I really think those Assault Terminators should just be cruising around with this Force Commander or something instead of... I'm not sure why he was trying so hard to get into Don Qichoka's base. And it looks like he was actually attacking this Hive node, so... bit of a curious decision on tactics there. The Lictor, of course, has been controlling all of these setup teams pretty well, preventing them from staying stood up and moving around. Plasma Dev takes a shot at him and knocks him away. You can see EXL's just not even concerned with his power anymore. He's got more power than he cares about, and he realizes that he just needs to capture these victory points. That's all he needs to do, just capture those VPs. The Force Commander, again, in a bit of trouble, kind of just been roaming around by himself. I think if he had just saved those Terminators to travel with his Force Commander, he'd be in a much better position. He's been kind of trying to use... it's kind of been a Space Marine melee battle versus Tyranid melee. And the Space Marines were doing pretty well, but oh, nice looking Plasma Dev shot taking out all those Rippers. But unfortunately, I just think the Tyranid late game melee is doing a better job right now. There's just way more heavy melee than what EXL has access to. And that Hive Tyrant Warrior Broods and 2 squads of Adrenal Warrior Broods now and the Gene Stealers just have been shredding through Space Marines for the whole game right now. Don Qichoka's down to 11 VPs and still has quite a long time before he's going to lock this game down. And meanwhile, you can see EXL's going for some covert ops, equipped his scout squads with the infiltrate ability, and is decapping that lower natural VP for Don Qichoka. Meanwhile, it doesn't look like Don's paying attention to these warriors, and one of those is probably about to pop. There he goes! One goes down. I'm sure they're going to pretty much just have to retreat now. And the Lictor now jumping again on one of those setup teams and taking them out. I'm sure the Don Qichoka's just... Oh no, he does completely lose that warrior squad. Bit of a loss of unit awareness there. Very unfortunate. A Swarm Lord's coming onto the field though, and that could make things very difficult. But another squad of Assault Terminators has gone on the field. This game has gone on long enough that 2 squads of Assault Terminators have come onto the field. And unfortunately, that might be it, because I don't think he's going to be able to stop that decap, and unless he starts one very quickly, he's not going to be able to end this game. Warriors, again, coming onto the field. Don's just been dropping squad after squad of both Warriors and Rippers throughout the game. These Assault Terminators actually aren't going to be able to finish that cap. I was mistaken, and got pushed off by the Swarm Lord, Hive Tyrant, and a Warrior Brood. So, looks like EXL finally learned his lesson and learned to pull back his Assault Terminators before they get into too much trouble. And a pretty reasonable force up here at the center VP too, so I thought Don was finished right there, but it looks like he's bought himself a bit more time. We're going to have to see if he can do anything to deal with this. Sergeant comes onto the field just in time to deal with these Gene Stealers. He did see them and was able to take a couple shots, drops a point-blank grenade and spikes it on the ground. But those very quick Gene Stealers were quick enough to get out of its blast radius. And now with the Adrenal Gland Warrior Broods, they're going to start hammering away at this Force Commander. You can see still both of the setup teams kind of hanging out and just doing their best to keep this victory point in his hands. The Force Commander doing a pretty good job against these Gene Stealers. They haven't upgraded with their heavy melee yet, which I feel like they probably could do. I'm not sure what Don's holding on to right now. And the Hive Tyrant and Swarm Lord kind of just sitting idle on that VP. I know he needs to make sure he doesn't lose a VP at all right now, but I feel like he could probably push in on EXL and cause some pretty severe damage and probably take this last victory point if he does it right. So I'll have to see if that's what he chooses to do. Hive Tyrant's still kind of just hanging out over there, and a big pile of melee up here as well. 2 squads of Warriors and a squad of Gene Stealers. So a second squad of Gene Stealers now on the field. The Scout's kind of hanging around stealth. It looks like Don knows it. He's kind of moving his stuff around, trying to feel out and see if they're moving it on the point. And now the Assault Terminators now upgraded with Lightning Claws this time, instead of sticking with their Thunder Hammers as they did before. So that reduces their HP a bit, but does add on to their offensive capabilities. The Plasma Dev gets forced off by an Adrenal Gland Warrior Brood, and those Gene Stealers need to be very careful fighting those right now. The Lictor's been doing a good job of harassing throughout the game, as he does have his Vanguard ability, which lets him stay cloaked for the entirety of the game. So as long as he steers clear of that Scout Squad, he'll be able to stay cloaked throughout the game. So the Scouts do manage to get a decap behind that Hive Tyrant, as he was hoping for. The Hive Tyrant knocks him off and decides to cap the map back himself, and the Swarm Lord's probably going to just go ahead and scare those Scouts off. Meanwhile, the Warriors do lose a couple models to those Assault Terminators, and that could be, I know I've said it a few times, but that could be it for Don Qichoka, as the Force Commander's now securing this bottom VP as well. So one way or another, Don Qichoka needs to get on one of these VPs almost immediately and lock that down. So that's one for EXL, and EXL's now capturing a second. It looks like the Lictor's going up here to try to decap that, but he's just not going to last against those Lightning Claw Terminators. They're just going to make short work of that Lictor, and he does just get slashed right down to the ground. And that's pretty much 8 VPs. That's going to be the game. For anyone who's not aware, once you hit, if you're not capping a point back around 8 VPs, you're not going to get it in time, unfortunately. Unless, of course, you're using tax. But that's going to be the game. The tax did, speaking of tax, decap that final VP down there, and wow, that was just a lot of carnage on both sides. Both sides lost several squads. Don Qichoka lost all his gaunts, several squads of warriors, I believe, a Tyrant Guard, Carnifex, and all kinds of stuff. You can see EXL never even bothered to keep this power back because the game had gone on so long that both players just had an absurd amount of power through that. That's pretty funny. So that was a pretty cool game. The power was just constantly going back and forth along with the VPs. I thought EXL was out very early, but managed to pull off some excellent plays and destroy plenty of Don Qichoka's squads here. And drag the game on for as long as he can, and sometimes that's what you gotta do with Space Marine. That allowed him to get both his Assault Terminators on the field. Kind of foolishly threw away that first one, though. And but the second one came in with a vengeance with those Lightning Claws. Anyways, quite a hell of a game. Pretty long one, too. So that's it for me. This is Red-Rupee. I'll catch you guys next time.